Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to another episode of What's Up, Cuz. I am your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. Irvin, as we join you from the Chicago area to talk about everything that is going on in the world of sports.
Yes,
Cousin,
yes.
how
What's up,
are
cuz?
you? How have you
I'm
been?
doing, you know what, I'm doing good. I just got back from graduation from Hampton University
Yes,
graduation
yes,
where I
yes.
saw your cousin, my daughter, graduate summa cum laude, which a lot of people said. My father said I was thank you cum laude and no laude and all that. So which means she had over 3.8. So she was 18 in her class, and I was happy about that, and I had to listen to her tell me she was a scholar athlete. I said I was a student athlete. The same thing. She said no, Dad. It's the difference between student athlete and scholar athlete. I said, so what's the difference? She said the grade point. I said, if you don't go sit yourself down, because a good team needs 2.9, 2.0 students. See, I said if you was a good player, your grade point average should reflect how good you are. I said, see, you probably wasn't that good with a 4.0. Now, but you was good though. I said, stop making fun of us good players. But anyway, just happy. It was a great graduation, Jay. So I was happy about that. But I got a bone to pick with you a little bit too.
I know you always do. You always do. But
What's up with
before
your
you get the
Jersey game
bone,
today? What's up with your
before
Jersey game?
this is called the I'm sick jersey game. That's what this is called. This is called you lucky the host is here to do this show tonight. But we'll get to that in a minute. But let's welcome everybody who's tuning into our show. Welcome to What's Up, Cuz. If this is your first time tuning in, we appreciate it. We're sure you're gonna like what you're watching here tonight. If you are
Yeah, yeah,
watching us on the
yeah.
YouTube channel from
Let me get
Sports Zone Chicago, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us via Facebook and you want to interact with us, go ahead and send us comments and questions. We'll put that stuff up on the board. Our guy Ivan is in the background monitoring all that good stuff. And
Ivan
if you're
who?
watching us, Ivan
Ivan
Vargas,
who?
who else?
Ivan who? I haven't been off for a couple of weeks. I didn't know it was the same Ivan. I'm just curious. I don't know. My bad,
if you're
cuz.
watching us, if you're watching us
My
on the
bad.
Sports Zone Chicago app, we appreciate that. You download that app in 3 different places. My cousin Lance is getting ready to tell you where you can get it.
You get it at the iTunes store, Google store, and the Amazon store. And please follow me on Facebook. Follow all my social media platforms. And follow my cousin Jason too. But follow me first though, because mine is a little more detailed than my cousin's.
Well,
As
wait
you
a
can see,
minute.
it's gonna be that type Monday. It's about to be that type Monday.
They don't even know where to follow you. How they gonna follow you?
Oh, they just Lance C. Irvin on Instagram, Lance C. Irvin on Facebook, Lance C. Irvin on Twitter, Lance C. Irvin all over the place. Just Lance C. Irvin. Just follow
That's
me,
very
and then follow
original,
me on
Lance
What's
C.
Up,
Irvin.
Cuz too, because I wanted everybody to know. See, I'm not gonna hide behind my comments. You know how some people hide behind their comments. Well, I'm
I
not even
do.
gonna get started. I'm not gonna get started today. Cuz I'm glad you joined this, man. See?
Well, I am glad to. And once again, we're congratulating your daughter, my cousin Brooklyn. There she is. That's at the ceremony itself, I take it, correct?
Yeah, that's at the ceremony, Jay. And one thing I was messed up about all the chords and all this, and I was
I
like,
was wondering.
"What's all the chords for?"
I
She
thought
said,
the girl was
"Well,
getting a
uh,
doctorate degree when I
that's
listened
what
to
I said." I said, "When did y'all start getting hoods on the back?" And I said, "When I graduated, they just gave you a cap and gown. You waved at everybody." I said, "When did all these chords come into play for your grade points and organizations and the stoles?" I was like, "Why am I paying for a stolers, whatever you call it?"
yes,
I said, "What
yes.
am I paying for all this stuff, all this extra stuff?" Just man, just wear your cap and gown. But she had to get her 15 chords, and I don't know, Jay. This graduation stuff new. See, but Sharice had chords, and you probably had chords. I didn't have
No, I
none of
did
that.
not. I did not. Well, remember, I did not march for my college graduation.
Why you didn't Mars,
I,
cuz?
I sat
Tell the people,
out
tell the
in
fans.
I sat out in defiance for other reasons, which we will not get into right now. But uh,
I told you, but you didn't want to listen. It wasn't
so
for you, it was for Auntie. But no, you wanted to be stubborn and hard headed.
I was definitely stubborn and hard headed. I will agree. I do have my degree, ladies and gentlemen. I did not participate in the graduation. I took a. I was a conscientious objector. Let's say that.
And we need people like that from time to time.
Yes, we do.
You
Yes,
know.
we do. But congratulations to all the graduates. But you know what? Your daughter wasn't the only Irvin who graduated either, though. you got a niece who graduated as well, didn't you? Didn't you have a track star niece?
You know what? My track star niece, she just won. That is my niece Zion Rice. She graduates next week, but she's two-time Georgia state hurdle champion in the 100-meter hurdles, the 300 hurdles, 300-meter hurdles, and she's going to Hampton also. So I was watching her run, JC, like 7, 8 years ago. I beat her in a race, and she tried to
7, 8
tell
years
me
ago.
I didn't win. So after she won the other day, I get a text. You want a piece of me now? I was like, yeah, I would, but my knees and my hamstrings not right. So shout out to my
Good
little
answer,
niece.
Lance.
I
Good answer.
mean,
That's
great
what I
Jay.
would have went with.
Jay, I'm not getting too many more whippers, man.
I
I'm
know
not
that's right,
losing
man.
what I don't have to. So she's attending Hampton also. She's a good student also. So happy and can't wait for our
Wait a
cousin
minute.
Chris
Hey,
to
hey,
graduate.
Ivan, put that picture back up there real quick of Lance's knee. That girl got a lot of medals, man.
I was
You
just gonna
know,
say that. I was just gonna
you
say
know,
there's a lot of cords, there's a lot of medals, there's a lot of hoods. Like,
uh,
what's going on?
when you win most of the races you participate in over a 4-year time frame, you get a lot of medals.
Well, she
And
kicking
like I
butt. She's
said, yeah,
kicking butt. That's what's going on.
she
Yes.
man, and Georgia, excuse me, Georgia has some of the fastest athletes out, and she
Okay.
won state not once but twice. She won it back to back. So with that being said, she's extremely fast. Most of the races she ran in, she won those races, and she's good at talking stuff. Jay, she's smart and can talk stuff too. Though, ooh, she talks stuff. She
And
talks
you
stuff.
said she running the hurdles, right?
She running the hurdles. She
So
ran like a
she like our girl, Shamir Little.
she run the hurdle. She said at her last meet, the one Saturday when she ran, Gail Devers was there, and we was
Ooh.
laughing because she didn't know who Gail Devers was at first. She was talking there. Gail Devers said, "By the way, my name Gail Devers," and she did a double take. I said, "Why you didn't take a selfie?" Gail Devers said she loved the way she runs. So shout out to Gail Devers, the real veteran. Gail Devers was
Wow.
fast too, not Jay.
We gotta get Sudie Davis on top of this story. Sudie be on top of everything track and field. That's how track and field got. But yes,
Hey, we need City back.
congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to Brother Rice and his daughter, and another graduate getting ready to go to the next level, and that's great. So let's stay on the track since we are talking track and field, and someone who doesn't have as many medals as your niece.
Who will we be talking about,
and may
cuz?
not be getting anytime soon. Our girl Sha'Carri Richardson.
Who? Who?
Well, that's the question everybody's asking. Sha'Carri Richardson, who? So the track season the outdoor season has actually begun for professional track and field. And Sha'Carri Richardson, who was last seen being heard, said, "This ain't the last you're gonna see of me." Hadn't been seen since. So there are reports that she is possibly retired from the sport. She has dropped out of 3 events that she was supposed to be running in here within the past month. The latest one was a race last week in Kenya over in Africa. She pulled out of the race at the last minute. No explanation. 2 previous races she was supposed to be running in, she never showed up, was not in it. So people are like, well, we see you at the Met Gala, you're doing your fashion thing and you're on Instagram talking stuff, but when you go to show up at a race, so she's been a no-show. Nobody knows what exactly is going on with her. There have been questions about what appears to be a change in the physical look of her body. She doesn't look as muscular as she was before. So that's just fueling even more rumors. We don't know what's going on with Miss Richardson. She hasn't given us an explanation on why she hadn't showed up in races. But remember, last she told us this wasn't going to be the last we saw her.
I mean, Jay, and we sitting here laughing a little bit, but on a serious note, I just hope she's okay. She's going to different events and stuff, but I hope she's okay from a track running and competitive standpoint, right? At some point in time, you can talk the talk, but you have to walk the walk. And if you're serious about your craft, like she said she was last year, that was over a year. How many months has it been, Jay? About 9 months since she's last raced?
Maybe not even that. I say
not
about
even 9?
maybe 7.
We give 7 months.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be looking out of shape if you're serious about it, right? and she should probably have been on the track and at least competed in one of the races right now. You can't go from as fast as she was, body looking like it was looking, to how she's doing now. Like, I might go to the Met Gala, Jay, but you better believe I'm gonna get out there and race. Even if you don't win, you go out there and at least try it. All Jay, they talking about you anyway. What difference does it make? At least you go
Yeah,
out there and you at least trying. And my
right.
thing is this: is she okay? And will she ever race again? You can't
Well,
have behind social media for so long now.
exactly. Well, and that's a question I think she's gonna have to answer because she's all over social media, and she put on her Instagram yesterday. Yesterday, she was talking, she giving us intimate details about her relationship with her ex-girlfriend, and the woman broke up with her after 4 years, and she was a Jamaican, and Shakiri said, I stood up for you where, in your country, our type of relationship is shunned, and I stood up for you and your family, and then you just dumped me. And I was like, girl, you telling us too much of your personal business. But you done put it out there now, and all we want to know is when you're going to run again.
And Jay, that's all we really want to know. I mean, her personal business is her personal business. But she put on the show when she was running. Then she had the issue. Then she said that's not the last time we're gonna see her. Well, what is the next time we're going to see you compete? And when is the next time are we going to see you win a race? Because at the end of the day, when you was talking all that talk, the Jamaican young ladies was like, "You don't want none of this. You don't
You
want
don't
none of this,"
want
and they still saying you don't want this smoke. So Jay, as the longer she lays off, the harder it is to come back, especially if her body is looking like you said, it's looking differently. The muscle tone is gone. I mean, that stuff is hard, Jay. It's hard to get back. And you only have a short window, right? Your
Yep.
window is like, and that's it. Like I was reading a book, Standing Neutral, and it was talking about how Michael Johnson was so focused, Jay, just reading his account from his eating standpoint, from his training regimen. He was focused. He was like, it was like going to the store. You know how you go to the store, cuz, and you write out a list. I'm gonna do this, this, and this. Said Michael Johnson used to have a list. Breakfast at 7 a.m., lifting at 8, running at this time something else. Da 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 da. I mean, hopefully she'll come back. I don't know, but right now, Jay, I don't think too many people taking her serious.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's put herself in that position. So, we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going on with her, but we'll see what happens. Let's go to the NBA playoffs because, woo, what a weekend it was. But before we can even get to the games, we got to talk about what
Ooh.
happened earlier today
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say
on
it.
ESPN with Stephen A. Smith interviewing Chicago's own Patrick Beverly. And Patrick had some rather choice words about Chris Paul, the veteran point guard of the Phoenix Suns, whose team was eliminated yesterday in a game 7 by your guy, Uka
Luka
in
Doncic.
Dallas. Uka Doncic in Dallas. And then, Patrick Beverly went on and basically roasted Chris Paul. I'm going to let you kind of talk about what he said, and Ivan probably got some thoughts too.
He bring Ivan out. He kind of roasted him, but he maybe over roasted him. But one thing he said is like Chris Paul can't guard anybody. He said a cone has a better chance of guarding somebody than Chris Paul does. And he said also Chris Paul, the shots he made, Chris Paul was like 9 for 28 the last 3, 4 games, right? Or whatever. He said all he made was spot up jump shots. He was like he can't guard and he really couldn't score. And he was like in the regular season, they give him all the sweep through fouls and all this and all that. He said, but now in the playoffs, he was missing some of that. Basically, he said to sum it up, Chris Paul is washed up. That's what I took out of. What did you think he was saying, Ivan? You think he said he's washed up?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's so many words. Obviously, there's a beef. Obviously, there's clearly a beef. There's been a beef for a long time, and I mean, a lot of people have issues with Chris Paul. What I mean, whether it be just petty on the court stuff, or maybe a little jealousy is involved, or something like that. I don't know, but it seems like a lot of people have an issue with Chris Paul. I'm just gonna flat out, if he wasn't lying, I don't have a problem with what he said. I have a problem with ESPN letting him run amok like that, knowing he's gonna like this is all ratings. So it's like letting him run amok like that. That's kind of like, all right, dude. Y'all know what was gonna happen. You knew what was gonna happen. But if he's not lying, I don't think he, should be ridiculed the way he's being ridiculed by some people.
I mean, let me also say this. In terms of Chris Paul on the defensive end at 37 years old, we're talking about if a 37-year-old guy has to be your best defender, it's a problem. And Chris Paul over the years has been a great defensive player. Like, for instance, Gary Payton, the glove wasn't Seattle's best defender, the Lakers' best defender at 37. Hell, he didn't even play till 37. Dennis Rodman, Karl Malone, Moses, was Scottie Pippen the Bulls' best defender at 37? So now, if we count on Chris Paul to be your best defender at 37, then it's a problem, y'all. Come on now. At 37, like, you go through strides, I think. I didn't play in the NBA, but y'all know I do a lot of working out. At certain ages, certain times, then I felt like, man, like when I got 27, I'm like, okay, I'm still in good shape. I'm still cool. I got to 35, I was like, yeah, I'm cool. 40, I'm like, ooh, it's a little drop.
It's getting hard.
It's getting there. The age I am now, I'm like, I'm still there, but you feel the decline going.
Right.
And at 37, trying to guard Luka, come on, y'all. That was a little bit too much. Hell, the way he did DeAndre Ayton. Luka is a 6'8" freak. Who can really guard Luka? Pat Beverly couldn't guard Luka. So with that being said, some of his comments, I didn't find it bad. I found the one, 37, he really can't guard, but I don't think he's washed up. I think you got to cut his minutes down. And maybe he guard people in spot play, but he was playing probably 2 minutes, Jay.
Okay.
You could tell as the game went on, he was well out.
That's what I want to ask. Is that going to be a problem for the Suns? Because he's out there. They had stretches without Devin Booker, then they had stretches. This is Paul Richardson yesterday from the Sports Cave out in Phoenix. On last Friday was with Sean and I believe with Kenneth, and he was talking about it like there were stretches without each player, and with Devin Booker out, the Suns suffered more than with CP3 out. Right? I think it's just obviously his age, 37. You're right. He shouldn't be the best defender on the court, but the thing is that if you're being called a stationary, object, you know what I mean? You can't go nowhere, and the dude's dead. He looked like Pat Bev was dead serious, and I'm sure there's other people out there that are like, yeah, he's telling the truth. But it's hard to make an excuse about that. It's hard to not make an excuse, but it's hard to overcome something that's the truth like that. It's like, are you done? Like, is Pat Beverly trying to retire Chris Paul right there in ESPN studios? Because it felt that way. Like, it really felt that way. I like Chris Paul. I think he should play more. I think the Phoenix Suns have a lot more issues than just Chris Paul being 37. They, Aiden and Monty Williams getting into it on the sidelines, then Aiden going out. Like, these things were, like, it was a total collapse.
Exactly. It was total, but it shouldn't have been total. Like, for instance, Mikal Bridges came in second or third for Defensive Player of the Year. He's supposed to be guarding Luka, first of all. Let's be totally honest. If I'm second in the league in defensive voting, I'm guarding that dude. So Chris Paul only should have been spot guarding him anyway from time to time. Number two, Devin Booker. You're a 27, 28 points per game scorer. You didn't show up in the game yesterday now. In DeAndre Ayton, you had 5 points. So with that being said now, Chris Paul, okay. But I'm getting on the young fellas. I'm not killing Chris Paul like that.
Yeah.
But there's some truth to it a little bit.
Devin Booker did just break up with a Kardashian, so the curse may be on. I'm just saying.
I want to hear what Rodell gonna say about this.
That's an excellent perspective. That's an excellent perspective by Ivan. I did not think about that, but yes, we should bring that up. And we're gonna bring that one back up with the guy you just mentioned, Rodell Davis. He's our first guest. He'll be coming on at 6:30, so in about 7 or 8 minutes, we're gonna have a Rodell come on. He's a guy that you've known forever, and he's been a part of your staff. So Coach Davis is gonna come on, and we're gonna pick that up even more. But Ivan just brought up a really good point. But Coach Davis, he's coming up at 6:30. And then our second guest coming up at 7 o'clock because it is the month of May. It is the month of May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we reached out to someone we knew in the mental health field, Miss Tiffany Brown Walker of Blind Faith Chicago. She's going to come on and talk to us about mental health and how it's relating to athletics now in sports. You know, a lot of high profile athletes who Michael Phelps, Naomi Osaka. It's been a lot of people talking about the mental health and aspect. So that's kind of like what the theme of our show is going to be tonight with our guests. But hey, we got a couple more topics before we get to that. We'll stay in basketball and to a person who is not washed up at all, Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors, who defeated Memphis in a really, really good series that went 7 games. But Klay is back, and he, along with Steph and that new guy. What's that new guy they got?
Hey, that new guy Jordan Poole that playing on the Fire's AAU team for a stint. They got Jordan Poole now. You know, shout out to the Mac Irvin Fire, but you know I had to throw that out there. Now, one thing about Klay, J, when you can shoot at his size, that jump shot is not going anywhere anytime soon. He just needed to get some more game reps. And the thing that's helping him when you have a Steph Curry, when you have a Jordan Poole, and he's playing with one of the best power forward / point guards in the business in Draymond Green, because Draymond Green knows how to find people on time and on target every time. Like Draymond Green assists those guys on so many baskets. It's crazy. And Klay knows how to move without the basketball. He knows how to play off Steph, and he's a cerebral basketball player. He had a breakout game at the right time, and I think he's going to have some more breakout games. But this series against Dallas that they have coming up, it's going to be interesting because one thing about Dallas, Finney Smith and those guys, Luka, our boy Jalen Brunson, who played on the Fire too, they have guys who could stretch the floor. And with that being said, you have to really guard now. There's no real weak link when you play in the Dallas Mavericks. So Steph defense is going to be tested. Jordan Poole defense. Draymond Green can't guard everybody. Draymond can't guard everybody. He's going to guard Luka, but Luka showed us in the last series. Luka weighs about 250 himself. And he's used to playing overseas in some of those pressure-packed games. So this will be a good series. I think it's going to go 7. I'm picking Golden State, but it's hard going against the Dallas Mavericks right now. Because anytime you come back there, they was down 2-0 and won 4 straight.
I agree. I'm going to go with Golden State as well. I think it was impressive that they did a lot of this without Steve Kerr as well, who was in COVID protocol. You know, Golden State, you know, they still a beast, man. As long as Klay and Steph can shoot that thing.
And Andrew Wiggins.
And Andrew Wiggins, you know, best thing for Andrew Wiggins was he got out of Minnesota. And he got to get with the right team, which we talked about on our last show. A lot of times it depends on what team you go to. That's what AJ Guyton told us. If you haven't seen last week's episode, make sure you go back and check it out. You know, I think Wiggins getting to Golden State has really helped them. And he's a part of a culture. Of a winning culture, and he's got a solid coach. And, you know, I thought the young man kind of got forced into a situation in Minnesota where he kind of came in. They were really expecting him to kind of be the man, so to speak, whereas he's not got that same expectation at Golden State, and he fits in very well with that team. But, I mean, the NBA playoffs are really good. To see what Klay has done since he's come back after that devastating injury. This is his first year back after that devastating injury. He looks really, really good. So, you know, Golden State is going to be there. I'm going to pick them to defeat Dallas. But, you know, it was a battle. It was a battle. Let's stay on basketball real quick. Let's talk about in the East, Boston and Milwaukee. The Greek Freak has proven that no matter how good you are, you can't do it without Robin. You can be Batman all you want. If you ain't got Robin, in this case, Chris Middleton, you ain't going to win Jack. And we know that in Chicago because we watched Jordan try to do it for years.
You know what, cuz? Interesting. They had their chances, right?
Right.
But if you look at it, Boston outplayed them out of the 6 games. I mean, no, 7 games. Boston probably should have closed the series out a couple games ago. They
True.
was winning by
True.
14 in game 5 and lost in the third, and they was winning the game 4. So with
Mhm.
that being said, another game, I'm not sure if it was game 4, but Boston really outplayed Milwaukee all series. And Milwaukee, with a true championship pedigree, was able to make it 3-3, and they eventually lost. But you need a long athletic wing. They was missing Chris Middleton. It's hard taking an all-star off a team and then putting somebody in his position. Because people, Chris Middleton, I think, is one of the most underrated players in the NBA for what he does
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
Milwaukee. But now with Boston, though, that defense travels. Justin Tatum shows us that his jump shot and his overall game travels. He's probably one of the top 3, 4 one-on-one players in the NBA at this point in time. Justin Tatum
Mhm.
seems like he's about 6'10", Jay, right now, his size and his length and his shooting ability. And they had other guys step up. Williams stepped up. Horford stepped up. Pritchard was huge yesterday. And Brown, Robin, if you want to call him, he's always steady. Like Jalen Brown could play, Jay. So at the end of the day, Boston and Miami Heat, it's going to be a tough series because Miami guards too now. So
Man,
it's not.
Miami is rough, and Jimmy Butler, he playing like he want to win this ship, man. I've always liked Jimmy, and I think some of his comments are crazy as hell. But you put him on the basketball court, I love him as a player. He's a two-way player, and he played with a lot of heart, man. So that's gonna be a really good series. I'm going to pick Miami, but I think it's going to be a battle. And we got a couple more minutes just before we bring on Coach Davis, who's waiting back in our green room. And we're going to talk a lot more NBA with him right after the commercial break. But I'm going to get this in before we go to the commercial break
What
because
you
it's
getting at, cuz?
news. It is news. I want everybody to understand that this is news. I am a professional journalist, so I am required by my trade to cover these type of stories. This is not my personal view. This is news.
Oh, let me
The,
hear it.
the new Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue has come out,
Hey,
and it
hey,
features the ladies of the WNBA.
hey,
This is
hey,
news,
hey,
people. I am married, so are you, but this is news, Paul and Sharice. Do not hurt us. We are covering news. Put the picture back up, Ivan. We're talking news here. Jesus.
hey,
The
Jay.
ladies in the WNBA, they wanted more publicity. This is one way to do it. The swimsuit issue this year was dedicated to the ladies of the WNBA, and they are getting more attention. I would put it like that.
Jay, they deserve the attention. WNBA players. There's some nice looking WNBA players out there, and they was able to show it. And I got a bunch of calls about that. Like, Irv, you see the WNBA swimsuit issue? I'm like, what WNBA swimsuit issue are you talking about? So they said, man, go online. I was like, oh, I see what y'all talking about. Shout out to the NBA players. Like, what's her name, Jay? Is it Tia Cooper?
Tia
She
Cooper.
Tia Cooper now. She has a huge following on her social media account. Matter of fact, Jay, she followed me the other day. I followed her and she followed me back. But anyway, though,
There
I'm
you
not
go.
gonna
Get
flex
on
like
the
that.
show
I'm
then.
not gonna
Jesus.
Didi Richards and
Yeah.
Brianna Stewart, Sue Bird. See, there you go. See, she hit me up at Morris. She thought I looked like Morris. But anyway, the ladies can play, Jay. So they got some nice looking ladies that also have game too. And everybody in that Kaboom McKay, everybody game on the cover can speak for itself. So they
Yeah.
not only look good, they can actually play. And you've been saying all along the WNBA needed to do something more for the fans and stuff. Do you think that's a step in the right direction at this point in time, cuz?
So there's this. So it's split. It's split. There are some players who are saying, "Well, we don't want our sexuality and being known just for our beauty." However, there are other players who are saying, "I'm proud of my body. I work on my body, and I don't have a problem with doing it." Remember when we had Sydney Carter on a
Mm-hmm.
couple months ago? Sydney said she had wanted to do the ESPN body issue when she got out of college, but that her coach had talked her out of it. These women work hard to put their bodies together, just like a guy does.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they want to show them off. And it was funny because what Ndeke said was that she found the swimsuit photo shoot more challenging than she ever imagined, and
Mm-hmm.
that it forced her to put herself in a certain mindset she didn't even know she was capable of going, so that the photographers could get the shot. And she said she really grew just
Mhm.
from it. And you know, I tell people all the time, you know, professional models, people think they just sit there and pose and, you know, just let their physical beauty do the work. It is not like that. There's a lot of lighting, makeup, hair, the proper settings, the proper poses, what angle they shoot you at. It's a lot that goes into that. So it really is a full day's work. And she said she had never been pushed like that before, but that she really liked the final results. And I think the rest of the WNBA ladies like that as well. So go out and pick up the new Sports Illustrated WNBA swimsuit edition. And, you know, hopefully any publicity is good publicity for that league. And we definitely support the WNBA. So we are going to take our first commercial break of the show. And then coming back, we have Southwestern Michigan College athletic director, your good friend, Rodell Davis. He's going to come and we're going to talk with him. You are watching What's Up, Guys? At a time when the news seems as subjective as the partisan politics dividing this country, independent professional journalism has become a resource people need to get the honest and accurate information for their lives. That's why I created JCoyneReports.com. As a born and raised Chicagoan, I know this city better than anyone. So my investigative stories are all original, and they'll go deeper to expose the truth by using information obtained from public information databases and in-depth interviews with the movers and shakers. My feature stories will introduce you to people and businesses who are changing the world, not just Chicago. My missing person stories will spotlight those who you don't hear about in the mainstream media who are often overlooked. If you want to hear my personal views on things around the world, check out my blog site, which is based off of factual information and my life experiences. There's also past episodes of my weekly sports podcast show, What's Up Cuz, that I host with my real-life cousin, Lance Irvin. So if you're looking for all this information and more, check out JCoyneReports.com and follow me on Twitter at JCoyne.
I'm Dr. Miriam Delphin-Rittman, Assistant Secretary for Mental Health and Substance Use in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the leader of the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and an increased focus on mental health is needed now more than ever. As President Biden has noted, our country has faced an unprecedented mental health crisis among people of all ages and backgrounds. 2 out of 5 adults report symptoms of anxiety or depression. Suicide is now the 10th leading cause of death in our country, and more than 104,000 Americans died of drug overdose in a 12-month period ending in September 2021. Despite these troubling trends, there are many reasons for hope. Hope that is rooted in action. At SAMHSA, we will continue to work to improve access to quality care and outcomes for all Americans. We know that with the right services and supports, people with mental health conditions can and do recover and live full, productive lives in communities of their choosing across the country. For help finding mental health services near you, please call SAMHSA's National Helpline at 1-800-662-HELP or visit findtreatment.samhsa.gov.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, Lancey Irvin. And just go ahead and say what you guys say. Now, I know you got some smart aleck comment you gonna make.
You know what? I was gonna wait till Rodell Davis came on the phone, but came on the show. But since you asked me, you know, I'm proud of you. That's a great commercial. You know, when you running for politics, cuz
I'm not.
are you running? Are you trying to get the mayor's race that you didn't tell me about? Ivan, is he running for mayor? I think he might be running for mayor.
As bad as things are,
If it's just Jason and Lori, I'm voting for Jason all the way.
You too. See, you had 2 votes. See,
well, thank you.
nice
I appreciate
commercial,
it.
cuz. Nice.
Thank you. And I must give a shout out to my wife because she is the one who did that commercial. She produced it. She did the music. The only thing I did was sit there and read the script. That was my job. All the other stuff, that is all your cousin. So
nice.
Shout out to her. Give her all the credit in the world. So I love her to death. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I appreciate that. All right, let's move forward because I'm gonna let you introduce the next guest because you know him better than anybody.
You know what, Jay? I don't think I could do this young man justice. I don't know. He attended Thornton High School. Matter of fact, I think he maybe was All State or something like that. I don't know. He used to dunk on people in his sleep back in the day. Then the young man, you know, he went to Iowa. He's one of them Iowa Hawkeyes where, you know, they was whipping people. He played with Roy Marble, B.J. Armstrong. He played with some great people. Then he coached at a junior college, went on to coach at Providence, went on to coach at Drake, coached at Providence. And he's probably one of my best friends. He's probably like my 7th or 8th brother because when I was doing some crazy stuff at Chicago State, he's put me in check quick. Ooh, he's put me in check quick. Put me in check quick. And you know what, Jay? I think he graduated with a degree in African American history of studies. You know, he could talk that history talk too. But I want to hear what he's going to say about Patrick Beverly and all this other stuff. But he's an AD in Southwestern Michigan and the basketball coach. Very good coach, very smart person. My man, Rodale Davis.
What's up, fellas? Man, I appreciate y'all having me on. It was good watching y'all all this time. Now I'm finally here.
The list of people who are trying to get on our show, people don't know how many people have like, man, I know y'all my life. It took you 3 years to bring me on the show. So.
Hey, Jay, Ro didn't want to be on the show. Ro was out fundraising. He hobnobbing with big donors and boosters. Now he recruited like 10, 15 players in Chicago. We should see his team. Hey, Jay, we should see Rodale team next year.
Man, I'll tell you what, man, we've been out of the athletic business for 25 years, so there has been a lot of work to be done here, but it's fun. I'm really enjoying myself. Southwestern Michigan has been good to me, and then I was able to reach back to Chicago, and I got 6 guys from Chicago coming in here next year, so I'm really excited about what we're doing here.
Hey, Ro, now talk to us a little bit more about where's Southwestern Michigan and how did you become the AD, Ro? Like, I thought you should have been the AD of some other school anyway, but I'm not going to mention that school name. But talk about us, how you the AD and the basketball coach.
So Southwestern Michigan College is located in Dowagiac. For those who may not know where it is, it's about 20 miles north of South Bend.
Okay.
So it's in that southwestern corner. People have heard of Niles, Michigan, and Benton Harbor. Those are places that are close to us. Just in the coaching realm of things, I have always thought that I want to be in athletics all my life. And I know you can't coach all the time. So I said, after coaching, what do I want to do? Athletic administration is a way for me to stay in this business, still have the camaraderie that I have with the kids and still help the kids. And now, as opposed to just helping my team, which may be 15 guys, I'm helping over 100 student athletes, young men and women, try to reach their goals. So, man, I'm excited about this new venture, and it's been a lot of fun.
So, Ro, in your role as an AD, what's your day-to-day job like being an AD?
Day-to-day is a lot of busy work, really just trying to set things in the right path. And it's different when you come into a program that's already established. Right now, I'm established in this program. So I'm able to put my fingerprints on everything, which I really enjoy. I'm doing things like student athlete handbooks. I'm doing things like documents that we need to have signed, things that we just didn't have in place. So that continues to be a daily grind for me. And then also, as the coach, I still have to do my basketball things. So I'm recruiting. I'm on the phone 2 or 3 hours at a time, trying to find that next best road runner to come in and help take us to another level. And then yet and still, I still got to do my basketball stuff. I got to watch film. I got to watch games. I got to prepare myself. I'm at home a lot now drawing up timeout plays because I know, Lance, you know how it is when you got that 30-second timeout and you need a winning play. I'm at home working on that right now, even though we didn't play this year. So next year, I'm going to be ready. When that 30-second timeout comes up and they need an under OB play, I'm going to have it. Or if they need a sideline play, I'm going to have it. So,
hey,
yeah,
Ro,
it's a lot of work, man.
Because you know, Ro, you don't want to sit there in the 30 seconds. Hey, you call a timeout, the play's looking at you. You like,
Hey, Jason, you call that timeout, don't have nothing to say. You don't have to call another timeout. You better hope you have it.
I know. You do that, you'll be looking like this dude right here. When you
You're wrong for that.
so let me ask you this, Coach Davis. How many sports programs does the college offer? I know you said you all are just kind of getting back into athletics games.
Yeah, we just restarted. So this past year, we offered men's and women's cross country. Next year, we're adding men's and women's basketball. We're adding wrestling. We're adding volleyball, and then competitive dance. So, I mean, it's going to be a legit situation for us, and we are jumping into this thing, both feet. We're all in on it. So we're going to definitely make sure that we give these young men and women the best chance to succeed academically, athletically, and socially.
Now, let me ask you this. The decision to add those sports, was that the decision that you made, or were those decisions made prior to your being hired?
So that was a decision that was in place before I got here. But the great part about it, with the exception of cross country, which was already in place, I have been able to interview and hire the other coaches. So I still have found people that I thought fit the mold of what I was looking for in a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ro, you was in charge of hiring coaches also too. So, what are you looking for when you hiring coaches, Coach?
Mm-hmm.
Lance, you know me well. So number one, what I'm looking for a person that's going to come in and really care about the kids. That's number one. It can't be a selfish person. It has to be a person who's going to roll their sleeves up and work every day. No task is too small. I mean, we're building a new gym now. I'm ready to be the first one to get in there and sweep the floor. So there's just a lot of different things that need to be done. And then obviously I want them to have a great working relationship with the high school and AAU coaches so they can help us go out and recruit the kind of players that we need to be successful at this level.
Rodell, can you tell us a little bit more about the college itself, how many current students they have, and what type of academic programs they're known for or that they offer?
Yeah, so it's a really unique situation because we are a community college, but we actually have housing on campus. So we have about 1,800 students, 400 live on campus, which is really nice for our student athletes. Nice. They have to go out and find housing. Our biggest programs that we have now is our nursing program. It is state of the art. They do so many different things here. They have state-of-the-art labs where they go in and they work every day. So I just enjoy going in and watching some of those things. Our business program is really good here, our education program, and then the one program that a lot of our student athletes that are coming in have really thought about is the sports management program. So this is a program that I wish they had when I was coming out of high school, because I probably would have been an athletic director a long time ago. But with that program, what we're doing on campus is we're giving them real world work experience. So they're going to work in game management. They're going to work in operations. They're going to work in facilities. They're going to work alongside of our trainers. So they're going to really find out if that's something that they want to do.
Man, that's nice, bro. Bro, you one of the few people I know, bro. You coached in high school, you coached in junior college, you coached in Division I. What do you see as the biggest difference in between high school, junior college, and college, if there is a big difference?
I think when you think about high school is a spot where almost everybody plays. And then as you go up the ladder, it's not as many people playing. The people that you play with in high school, maybe 4 or 5 of you will continue. At the junior college level, it's kind of a stigma that I want to try to get away from, is people think it's a place that you go where you only go if you have bad grades. That's really not the case right now. When you think about what's going on with the transfer portal, the extra COVID year, it's really getting a lot of kids caught up in that. So we're building our program from a standpoint where you come in, you're successful, and we try to move you. And you aren't here because you can't cut it academically or athletically. It's just that you're caught up in that glut right now. So that's the difference there. And then when you get to junior college, it's the first time you get away from home where you have some freedom. And it's not like the Division I level where they have 4, 5, 6 coaches to take care of you. So you got to be a little more self-motivated at the junior college level so you don't slip through the cracks. And then the Division I level, everybody's dream, it's a great place to be. There's just usually, I'll say that, there are more support services there. There's more funding there. So it just makes a difference there. The basketball is good everywhere now, guys, because those guys, there's guys that are still in college that are 24 years old, which 4 years ago, they would have been gone 3 years ago. So then just think about that. The 17 and 18-year-olds now, they're caught in that. So, hey, I'm ready for them to come with me.
Man, Ro, like I was telling somebody the other day, and I think when you and I talked months ago, man, it's a great time to be in junior college right now, coaching and playing, due to the fact the transfer portal, it's so many people, it's over 1,200 people in the transfer portal. It's not 1,200 scholarships. Scholarships are tough to get right now, Jay. If you can land at a quality junior college like where you coaching that, Ro, I mean, the sky's the limit at the end of the day, Ro. So you in the gold, man, I think, Ro.
Man, I hope you're right, Coach. I need you to give me a big dude. I need a 6'8", 220 that can score it on the block.
so go ahead, Jason.
So, Rodell, let me ask you this. You said you've got 6 players coming from Chicago. You're a Chicago guy. You understand what's going on here and the challenges we're facing, and especially trying to keep young black men alive and motivated and doing things like that. I was so happy to hear you said that you all have on-campus housing, because I'm a big proponent of getting people out of their environment so that they grow in life and see other things and other opportunities. Is that something that you're considering as well when you're going out and recruiting, and especially these guys that you've gotten from Chicago, that you're going to bring them up to Michigan?
No, it definitely is. There's a couple things that I try to sell their parents on more than the kids. Number one is the safety aspect. It's a great place. It's definitely safe. It's a little more rural than they're used to, but there are things to do here. So I think that's really important. And then I tell this story all the time. Some of the best friends that I have until this day are people that I lived in the dorms with as freshmen that weren't athletes. So what I want to do is I want to get our athletes, I don't want them to live in a silo. I want them to be integrated into the college community, and I want them to be regular students as much as they can be, even knowing that they're going to have some different time constraints. So that way they can figure out the differences between them and other people, and they'll see that they aren't that vast. I mean, we're a lot more alike than we are different. We just got to give each other a chance.
Man, Jason Rodell should be your running mate when you run for mayor. You two guys, boy. Woo, y'all know how to talk that talk. I'm sitting there like I'm on the wrong show. Matter of fact,
that's because we all got degrees in African American studies.
Man, listen, y'all got me over here all nervous and everything. I know it's laid back, but y'all so professional with it. I'm like, this is not me.
Hey man, you got 2 people who got a degree in African American studies. What you want?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Hey, Ro, now your son RJ plays basketball too. He plays high school, having a good career, and he's also on the AAU circuit. Talk to us, like, how does it feel, number one, watching your son play, being a parent, and number two, as a coach, you sitting there and hearing parents just act like, I'm not going to say fools, going crazy in the stands. Talk to us about that a little bit.
I'll tell you what. It's some of the most satisfying basketball that I've watched in a long time. Being able to get out of coach mode and get to parent mode is really important. A lot of coaches tend to stay in coaching mode, and that's tough. What I like to do is I like to let him handle his situations the way I would want my players, but I want him to be able to communicate the things that he needs to communicate with people, and then I want him to go through his journey. I don't want to live his journey for him. I think it's really important to give him some freedom to do those things. And then truthfully, when I'm in the stands and I'm watching him, I really block everything else out. The only person I ever hear is my wife. Right in my ear. That's the only person. I don't pay a lot of attention to other people, to be honest.
I heard Steph could get it in. Matter of fact, woo. Hey Jason, let Steph get started. Her and Paula get started at a game. I used to elbow roll. Hey, Ro, you hear those two? Matter of fact, bro, we're going to tip out the side door. We're going to play like we don't know those two.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. My wife, Stephanie, she understands the game. We've known each other since 3rd grade, so she's been around this thing for a while. When I was coaching at a junior college in Wyoming, we went to a game in Iowa and we were getting hosed. We did not get a lot of good calls. And she went in on the officials and they tried to put her out the gym. So I had a really good team too, and they wanted to beat us. So I told them, if she leaves the gym, I'm taking my team off the court.
Well said.
That was like, I don't care. She got to go. The other coach was like, no, we got a chance to win. She need to stay.
Coach, let me ask you this, because one of the things that has definitely changed, and it's the theme of tonight's show, is mental health and today's student athletes. This isn't something that was a priority when you played, probably not even when you started coaching, but now we're seeing colleges have a mental health coach in some of the colleges who can afford it. We definitely are seeing it on the pro side. Talk to me a little bit about how you are planning on addressing that in your current position at Southwestern Michigan College.
Yeah, I think as educators, we got to look at the whole person and we got to take care of them from that standpoint. Usually as a coach, you want them to be successful academically, athletically, and socially. That's the biggest things. But what now people are realizing that the mental part is just as much as those other three. So one of the things I want to do is I'm going to incorporate something that Lance started at Chicago State called Wellness Wednesday. We want to bring people in to talk to them about life and just make sure that they hear it from a different angle, just, not just a coach. So we want to continue to help them grow in that part of it. And the biggest thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to have team meetings where I meet with each team. And I just want to make sure that they know who I am and know that I am a resource for them. And then I want to make sure that I ask them if they're okay. I think one of the things we look at with our athletes is we tend to look at them as supermen or superwomen. They don't have the normal problems as everybody else, but that's not the case. They have the same problems and then probably some added stresses with trying to perform at a high level. So we're going to be on top of those things. We're going to make sure that they understand we're there. And then we're going to work on finding a sports psychologist that we can contract out. And then it may not be somebody that's there every day, but if we can get them there one day a week, or if we can get it on a situation where we can contract them and we can take our students to them, we're going to try to do that, because I think that's just a huge part of life right now. The kids are dealing with so many different things with the pandemic and all of the disappointments in life that go with it. It's just, you want to make sure that you take care of their well-being mentally.
Well, and I too, and in my experience when I was coaching basketball too, I think a lot of people who don't realize a lot of the players come from some neighborhoods that are pretty rough, and they're suffering some trauma. It's not uncommon when I was coaching for me to be coaching a player who had a sibling who had been murdered, or their next door neighbor, had just gotten robbed or at gunpoint or something like that. And they carry that, or, they hear gunshots on a nightly basis. And then they come out to a different environment, say like your area where you say it's very rural, and it's going to be so quiet. It almost takes like time to adjust to just the quietness,
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And a lot of times these young men and women, they internalize these things and it eats up at them on the inside. And that's why we got to ask that question. Are you okay? What's going on? A lot of times people from our backgrounds or our neighborhoods, they won't tell you. But if you ask them, they'll let you know what's going on and they'll share more information that way. So if you're going to make sure that you take care of them, you're going to have to ask them those questions.
And I'm going to add this one thing, Lance, and then I'll let you jump right back in. Because you're at a smaller college and, every college got different budgets. Do you think college and university administrators are recognizing the problem? And perhaps the thing I always said was most schools have a psychology department. How can you get the psychology department at that particular university to just buy in and say, hey, we need to get some resources to our athletes? Is there a way that you all can help us? And that would help alleviate some of the costs.
Yeah, I definitely think administrators don't understand what's going on behind the scenes. With them, it's the game day. It's not everything that goes with that, whether it's the early mornings, it's the practices or whatever it is. And truthfully, Jay, you brought up a good point. I never thought about that with the psychology department. So that's something that I think could really help a lot of people who don't have that budget to go out and get a sports psychologist. So, man, I'm taking my notes here. You helping me out. So this is, hey, I'm always working.
And you know what, bro? And the funny part about that, when he said it, I was sitting there like, let me put that in my notes, because I said, man, that's a great idea. I was like, we
I
could
don't
have
know if
used
it's a
that.
great idea or me just being cheap and trying to get some free health
No,
service.
but like you said, Jay, some people don't have resources. Even if you do have resources, it's some smart faculty out there that's know the athletes and willing to help. And let me ask you this, Ro. You know, you played high school at Thornton. You was very, very good. You was that dude. You know, I give people credit. You was that dude. Do you find that was it pressure for you playing then to be good? Because I think I'm not sure if it's more pressure for kids now, or you think it was more pressure when you was played. What you
Man,
think?
from my standpoint, truthfully, I think it's more pressure now
Do you? Why is
because
that?
you got so many outside influences. This is the YouTube age. Lance, we didn't have YouTube.
Sure
You
did.
know, little things like that. Everybody wanted to post different things on social media. We just went out, strapped it up, and hooped. And I think that's what made it kind of different for us. The AAU scene wasn't there, so that
Mhm.
wasn't for us. You know what? We would go to Fernwood and we would play all day. And
Exactly.
then we would go home and get something to eat. We'd come back to Fernwood and shoot at night. So
Uh-huh.
we didn't have as much pressure on us. We didn't have guys training us, working on 20 dribble moves because you wasn't going to use it in the game. So I just think it's a lot more pressure on them now, to be honest with you.
I mean, Ro, because sometimes I find myself trying to figure out were we tougher, but then I said, you know what, it's a difference because I feel kind of like you, Ro. It's a lot more pressure on the student athletes due to the fact, like you said, social media, YouTube, Instagram, and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, it's tough. But Ro, who was the best player you played against in your high school career? Who's the best? Give me one from the South Suburb and give me one nationally.
Nationally is easy. It was Marcus Liberty. That's the bottom line. Doc was that dude. Doc would give you
If
the
they're
business
okay.
when he wasn't trying to.
What
So
you say,
that's
bro?
national right there. We don't have to go any further than Chicago. I'm just
Right.
telling you right now, he was that dude. And you know it, Lance. We all came out in 87. So he was that dude. The best player I played against in the South Suburbs was Phil Henderson. Some
Ooh,
people will remember him,
I
some won't. But
forgot
I'm gonna
about
tell y'all
that.
what, he was the next coming of Johnny Dawkins. He really was. He was that good. He played at Duke. I still remember to this day, we were in a hotel room getting ready to play an NCAA tournament game when he went up and dunked on Alonzo Mourning.
Uh-huh.
If you don't remember that, go find that clip and you'll be like, oh yeah, Phil was like that.
Nice.
Hey, bro,
Nice.
but high school. I think the fans was involved. People was coming out. There was a lot more rivalries, and like you said, I mean, the games was hyped at a high level. Do you think high school games are being played at a high level now with the fan support?
I think it's a little bit different now because there's
Uh,
so many other things to do. I mean, I remember when we played, like in Harvey, if we played Thornton versus Thorn Ridge, if you did not get in the gym at halftime by the start of the sophomore game, you wasn't getting in. It was not a seat to be had. And that's not the only rivalry. When we played Bloom, when we played
Uh-huh.
Thornwood, when we played HF, it was like that. Now you can walk up in that thing in the third quarter of the varsity game and get a good seat.
Man, see, Rodell, you're ahead of me. That was the question I was going to ask you because I only got a couple minutes with you left. I was going to ask you the quality of the ball in the South Suburbs today. How does it compare to when you played? Then I got to follow up to that.
I think it was better. I think it was better when I was there, to be honest with you, and not just because of the names of the people that came through. I think we played more than these kids do. That was what we did all summer. We didn't do a lot of video games and stuff like that. It was in the gym, and we didn't do a lot of working out. We just played. So I do think the quality of it is better back then. And that's not to slight anybody right now. It's still some talented young people out there. But as a whole, I take my group back in the day all the time.
Man, the rivalries out there, you talked about it when you had Thornwood, Thornridge, and Thornton, and Bloom, and you got Creek Moni and then HF. I mean, the old sicker, when y'all had like 55 schools in there, the old sicker was rough. And, you know, for me, Rodell, I got to experience, my best friend went to Thornton. He came out in 88, and he took me to the Thornridge game at Thornton one year. And I was like, he's like, you never been to Wild Basketball? I was like, no, is it that big? He was like, oh, okay, come on. Rodell, we got there before the game. It was Harvey police officers everywhere. It was traffic everywhere. I was like, what happened? Somebody get shot? What's going on? He's like, no, these just people going to the game. I was like, the game ain't for another hour. He's like, yeah, man, if you want to get in the game, that's where you gotta go.
There's no doubt about it. We've had parents turned away because they got there late. So we had to start making sure everybody was on the pass list.
Hey, Jay, we went out there one time when Darren Gessner was playing Pack's House. Then Pops was like, hey, man, let's go see Rodell play. I said, hey, Dan, it's about 6:15. You know that game started at 7, man. You know it's going to pack. Well, let me call Vinny.
Yeah.
If Vinny wouldn't have been there, we wouldn't have got in. So with that being said, though, man, a great game. But, bro, I got to ask you this question, though. I can't have you on the show without talking about Mama.
Yeah.
How is Mama doing? And then the first time she cooks for the team, if I'm in Chicago, call me. I'm making that drive. Hey, Ro. Hey, Jason, you got to taste Mama's cooking. That's all I'm going to say. Hey, Ro, tell them about Mama's cooking, Ro.
Man, I'll tell you what, man. She's doing fine. Definitely, she has already said, you let me know when that first meal is.
Ooh.
And I'm going to tell you, y'all both invited. Right now, I'm sitting an hour 45 minutes from Land's house. So, not that far of a drive. And they'll lay a spread out. They'll definitely lay a spread out. You'll think you was at a downtown brunch.
Wow. Got a couple of minutes here. I'm going to try to get this real quick question in, Rodell. Tell me a story about my cousin when you two were coaching together at Chicago State.
Who, you mean Nick? He's going to tell you the Nick story. Nick has a funny story.
This is an easy one. This is an easy one, man. Lance is a fiery guy on the sideline, and he liked to get after it a little bit.
Yes, he does.
So I don't know what game it was, but we were playing somewhere, and the team went on a run. He was like, man, the refs is not giving us any calls. I'm getting ready to get tossed. And I said, listen, man, don't mess up your brand. We don't worry about how they treat us. Keep your brand intact. And he said, no, you just don't want to slide over your feet. And he might have been right on that day, but I was looking out for him like I always do.
Hey, Jay.
Look at me in the background trying to grab him, Jay.
I know. This is him at the park. He's trying to get into a fight with our guy on the other side.
Hey, Jay, that's why I love Rodell. We were playing Cal Baptist. We only had about 7. Matter of fact, we maybe had 6 players. Oh, we was playing bad. I said, hey, Ro, man. I said, you know what? That tropical smoothie around the hotel, it's 7:30. It closed at 8. I said, so we getting screwed. And everybody banged up. So I said, hey, bro, man, if I get tossed right now, I can make tropical smoothie. If I can make tropical smoothie. I said, man, I'm about to be tossed. I'm going. It's like, man, no, don't mess your brand up. Don't mess your brand up. I said, no, bro, why don't you slide over it, coach, man? That's the type stuff me and Ro used to have some funny conversation. What's your funny Nick Irvin moment, bro?
Oh, man. We were downstate. And I think we were playing, must have been, where did Rick coach? I can't even remember the team.
Oh, Fenwick.
We were playing Fenwick, and we were struggling, and they were beating us. And at halftime, me and you, we looked at each other. We said, we got to help pull them through this, all right? So we went in the locker room. We told them, Nick, they're going to thrive off you. You got to give us everything you got. So he came out at the start of the half, and he just started screaming, all heart. All heart, banging on his chest. All heart. Man, before you know it, we made a run on them dudes, and that was all shit.
Man, hey, bro, man, I got to say on the show, Jay, I had a ball coach for Ro, high school, coaching the college, because Rodell not a yes man, and he's a very good coach. So I feel comfortable, like, giving him the board. like whenever I wasn't able to go to meetings at Chicago State, I sent Ro to the meetings because you want to send somebody that's not only going to represent you, but is going to represent himself well and represent the school and the university well. And Rodale did all that. And man, shouts out, Ro, man. You know, I wish you the best. I'm coming. You know you like a brother to me, man. And matter of fact, why don't you send us one of them golfing shirts you got on? We got on a pretty golfing shirt, bro. I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it.
I'm going to do you one better. Send me the size and I'm going to hand deliver it to y'all. I'm not sending y'all nothing. Look at Jay. Hold on, Jay. That's my dream. I need that shirt. Or
Jay,
that design.
Jay, we need to get him a metalwear shirt.
I'm going to get him a metalwear shirt. I'm going to hook you up with my guy, David Swanson, the metalwear. Get you some of his golf gear. You send me a nice little polo. I represent on the golf course for you. I may be able to find that. I find that 6'8", 220 dude. You know?
Hey, you find him, you become a member of the staff right away.
All right, thanks a lot so much, everybody. Rodale Davis from Southwestern Michigan College and New AD. They got athletics. Check them out. Thanks a lot, Rodale. All right. We're going to take a commercial break, and then coming back, we are going to talk with our second guest, Stephanie Brown Walker from Blind Faith Chicago. We're going to talk some mental health.
Tiff, let's get it.
So let's get ready to have some fun. We'll be back. You're watching What's Up, Cuz.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
I'm Dr. Miriam Delphin Rittman, Assistant Secretary for Mental Health and Substance Use in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the leader of the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and an increased focus on mental health is needed now more than ever. As President Biden has noted, our country has faced an unprecedented mental health crisis among people of all ages and backgrounds. 2 out of 5 adults report symptoms of anxiety or depression. Suicide is now the 10th leading cause of death in our country, and more than 104,000 Americans died of drug overdose in a 12-month period ending in September 2021. Despite these troubling trends, there are many reasons for hope, hope that is rooted in action. At SAMHSA, we will continue to work to improve access to quality care and outcomes for all Americans. We know that with the right services and supports, people with mental health conditions can and do recover and live full, productive lives in communities of their choosing across the country. For help finding mental health services near you, please call SAMHSA's National Helpline at 1-800-662-HELP or visit findtreatment.samhsa.gov.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, Lance C. Irvin, and our producer, Ivan Vargas, wanted us to know that the Cubs are winning 8-0 in the first inning.
If they score 21 again or 23 or whatever it was like they did the last time, the Pirates need to just forfeit the franchise. I'm sorry.
Yeah, poor Pittsburgh. They got all sorts of issues going on. Although I do want their shortstop on the White Sox. That's just me. But, you know, what can I say? But, hey, Cubs up 8-0 in the first. So good news for Cubs Nation. All right. So for those of you who've tuned into the show, you know, Lance and I, we have a lot of fun on this show, but we also talk about some really serious topics, but we also try to keep them kind of lighthearted as we talk about them. And mental health is a serious thing. I've covered it 20 years as a reporter. I remember Dr. Carl Bell. I used to talk to him a lot to get quotes and comments from him. And, you know, one of the things he used to always tell me is that too often in the African-American community, we don't seek the services of the mental health service providers offer. Too often, our mental health services are either in the church or through methods like alcoholism and drugs, which are coping devices, which don't get you to the solution to the things that may be troubling you. And one of the things Dr. Carl Bell always wanted me to do, he said, Jason, your role as a journalist is to try to change that narrative. Let people know it's okay. And, seeing someone because you may be struggling with something on the mental health aspect is no different than going to the dentist when you have a toothache. If you got something going on in your brain, I want to see someone who, I'm not going to go to the auto mechanic. I'm going to go to a mental health service provider. So it's very important to us to use this platform to try to help our community, to try to destigmatize a lot of things that have historically gone on in our community. And with this being Mental Health Awareness Month in the United States, and a lot of stuff that we've heard from athletes in recent months, Naomi Osaka, Simone Biles, about their mental health. And I think the public is getting a better grasp on this mental health awareness component. We wanted to bring someone on who could talk to us about this. And you had someone and you said, I know who we should call.
You know what? I'm sitting around talking to my wife, Paula. I'm not going to take the credit for all this. I said it's Mental Health Awareness Month. We need somebody to come on the show to talk to us about not only mental health for athletes, but mental health for everyone, to educate us on this issue. So she was like, Tiffany Walker. I'm like, Tiffany who? No, I'm just playing. She said, Tiffany Brown Walker. And I said, I forgot Tiff was working in that field. So, I contacted Tiff. We had a very good conversation. So she said she'd love to come on the show. So let's bring out Tiffany Brown Walker, the head of Blind Faith. She's the founder and president, Jay. She got a big old fancy title. We got all these smart people on the show. I need to expand my title a little bit more too. So let's bring Tiff on the show, cuz. What you think?
Hello, how you doing, Tiffany? Thank you for joining us.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine. We can hear you just fine.
All right.
Wow. So, you've probably heard a lot of what we've been talking about. I'm just going to let you open and talk a little bit about mental health awareness, especially as it relates to the African American community.
Well, first of all, Mental Health Awareness Month for the African American community is the month of July. So let me just roll that out there. So this month is for everybody, but we need to acknowledge that Mental Health Awareness Month for people of color is the month of July. So I'll be more than happy to come back and talk to you all in July as well.
I like the plug.
So you brought up Dr. Carl Bell, rest in peace. He was a pioneer in the city of Chicago, trying to make sure that we destigmatize mental health, which is probably the biggest reason why people do not receive the help that they need. So one of the things that, and I'm sure, Lance, when we've had mental health awareness at church, you've heard me talk about the biggest number of all, which is 1 in 5. And that is that 1 in 5 people across the United States and actually worldwide will be diagnosed with a mental health illness, a severe mental health, which is the SMI. And that means 20% of the world population has a diagnosed mental illness. So in the United States, that will come up to about 47 million people.
So, Tiff, what's the biggest mental health issue?
Your biggest one, and the one that is the most expensive for insurance purposes, and that's how they classify that, will be depression. That is your largest one. That's your largest one. But let me help you understand that depression lives with its first cousin and very best friend, anxiety. Those two are kissing cousins. And so what you will generally find is somebody who lives with depression also has anxiety. They're like that.
Why is that? Why is that, Tiff?
I really wish I could answer it. The chemicals are the same.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the easiest way to describe it. There are 3 main neurotransmitters, which is why, like Dr. Bell will tell you, it's in your head. So like when we talked last night, Lance, and I tell you it's all in your head, it is in your head because there are neurotransmitters that your brain gives off that determines your mental capacity. And so there are some major transmitters that are off base when your mental health is off. You got serotonin, you got dopamine, you got norepinephrine. And so when those are off in any level, it will determine the type of mental illness that you have. So serotonin is the most common one, and that's the one for depression. And then you've got GABA, which is one for anxiety. Well, sometimes serotonin will take GABA and kick it off base, which is why depression and anxiety live together. Okay.
Tiffany, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How much does being in stressful environments, how much does that add to
Great question.
Your chances of suffering from anxiety or depression?
So let's go with, let me help you change some language real quick.
Okay.
First of all, let me help you understand that there are different levels of mental health. You have suffering, like you just said, and some people that suffer with mental health challenges are people who have not taken the time to work with it. So you can have, and I like to use 3 different terms. You have people that suffer, you have people that live with it, and then you have people like myself that are in recovery. I no longer suffer with my illness. When I was first diagnosed, like 30 years ago, I suffered with it because I absolutely lived in denial, refused to deal with it, was not going to the doctor, refused to take medication. That's a suffering process because you're up and down, your family is struggling, you're doing a whole lot of things with it. Once you go ahead and start to address it, you begin to go through the living process. But once you've gotten past the living process, then you become like me, who's someone who's living in recovery. And it's very similar to people who are on drugs and alcohol, who have gone through the 12-step process and now they're in recovery. It's an illness that I'll have forever, but I know how to live with it. And so therefore I'm on the recovery side of it, and therefore it's no longer a problem. Okay. So I want you to understand the biggest thing that will help destigmatize mental health is understanding language. Words make a difference. So that's just the biggest thing, is the education. Now, to answer your question, stress is a huge component of it, especially for anxiety. So, and even when you don't think that you have anxiety, haven't been diagnosed with it, you can have a moment of anxiety, and it can be what's called situational. So let's say one of your athletes, Lance, it's coming up to the final time, and you all are going against your main competitor. Also, it's coming up in finals for grades, and we've had some stress at home. Guess what? That athlete is going to have a moment of anxiety. May even have an anxiety attack, which is much different than a panic attack. So that is a situational moment. Once that level of stress passes, that anxiety may also pass, and they may never experience it again. So that's just to show you how stress can have an impact on the neurotransmitters in your brain to cause something to happen, and it can be just situational.
How can you tell, Tiff, if somebody is suffering from anxiety? Like, what signs? Is it any signs that you could look for to say maybe this person is suffering from anxiety?
There are. You can have, depression and anxiety have some of the very same similars. There are going to be symptoms. You're going to have sleep changes, and that's going to be too much sleep or not enough. So it's all a matter of, is it somebody who, let me take me for example, right? I'm not a sleeper. I sleep because my medication makes me sleep, right? So let's just say I wasn't taking my meds, right? So all of a sudden I go from sleeping 4 hours a night to sleeping 12 hours a day. That's a clear sign that something is wrong. Or you have someone who eats, what did you used to call me, Lance? What was it? Little skinny?
I wasn't going to say it on the show. I wasn't going to say it.
So let's say I go from little skinny to back to 300 pounds.
The nice size skinny.
Nice, whatever. That goes, just so you'll know, Jason, I lost a significant amount of weight, and Lance apparently felt that I lost too much. So he started calling me Little Skinny. I was like, what in the world kind of nickname is that? But that's why he didn't know who Tiffany Who was, because Paula didn't say the right name. No. So let's say you go from somebody goes from, let's say, 150 pounds to 200 pounds all of a sudden. That there's a weight change. Or they go from 200 pounds to 150 pounds, there's a weight change. Or someone whose mood changes just like that, somebody who's always been kind of calm, cool, collected, and now all of a sudden they fly off the handle. There are a lot of different things like that now get you to wonder what's going on. Those are the times when you start to say, wait a minute, maybe we need to figure out what's going on. And that's when you can ask them, is there something you want to talk about? You don't just walk up and say, hey, you got anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
You want to give them a free space to talk. And it, because, they may not be ready, but you definitely want to open up for a free space to talk.
Because over the years, I have encountered, Jay. I'm just thinking about the times where, being a coach, assistant coach, you're sitting there, because mental health really wasn't talked about when I first got into coaching. It's basically just started coming out, Tiff. What about, Jay, about 5, 6, 7 years ago? Basically,
yeah, it really started getting on the forefront. Yeah, I'd agree.
And I'm sitting there like, something is wrong, and I couldn't really put my finger on it. That's why I'm asking these questions now, so I could at least be more abreast to the situation. And why do you think Tiff is so stigmatized? Why do you think people don't want to get diagnosed?
Because I can't speak for what happens in the other communities, but I can tell you what happens in ours. It is no different than way back when people used to get diagnosed with diabetes and they said they got a touch of sugar. Our families are real good about taking something and sweeping it under the rug, putting it in the closet. No different than hiding a child molester uncle.
Yep.
I mean, it is no different. Cousin who is a colon cancer advocate, she says family secrets kills families.
Yes,
and this is no different. So, as my dad used to always say prior to, and I'll tell my story real quick so you'll understand, Jason.
The mayor.
We all used the mayor. We used to all talk about every family has one of these family members, and you'd be like, oh, everybody got an uncle so-and-so. And in my dad's family, I think it was his uncle Johnny who came home from the war, and he was the one that you couldn't laugh around his uncle because his uncle was convinced that you were laughing at him. Now, it wouldn't matter if they were at a comedy show. His uncle would be convinced that you were laughing at him. Why? Because he had what we now diagnose as PTSD, which he covered up with alcohol. So, which you mentioned, Jason, about the how they are covering their feelings, their pain with alcohol and drugs, which is now what they consider a dual diagnosis. And so we can't get rid of the drug and alcohol addiction until we treat what is causing them to use the drug and alcohol. Okay. So here's just a real brief synopsis of my story, Jason. I was diagnosed at 19 years old with bipolar disorder. I lived in denial of it. I always say that's denial, the river that runs outside of Egypt, for probably till I was 30. Absolutely just denied. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm, in your 20s, you're like, I know everything and all of that. But it wasn't until in my early 30s that I realized there's something seriously wrong because the ups and downs were getting too frequent and too painful physically, that I finally went to go see a doctor who looked like me, who was willing to treat me the way I wanted to be treated, because all the other doctors, they were not. And although it still required me to be on medication, it was not medication that was going to make me lose my job. It was medication that would keep me from gaining a lot more weight, because at that point I was already too big. So it was just a lot of different things. And so shortly thereafter, after multiple hospitalizations to get medications right, I finally decided I need to tell my story. And my dad was like, well, who are you going to tell it to?
Mhm.
And I said, Daddy, people need to see what mental health looks like, because what people think mental health looks like is the people walking down the street talking to themselves.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
he was
Well
like,
said.
well, who are we talking about? Why are we doing this? And I told him, you got 30 days before I tell somebody.
Mm. Let me ask you this, Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
How important has it been for athletes like Brandon Marshall when he was with the
Yes.
Bears? He
Yes.
came
I've
out
had
and
a chance
spoke
to meet
about some of
him.
the challenges. Okay, how important is it that we see some of these athletes just come out and say, "Hey, I'm dealing with something,
So
and
let
this
me
is
tell
how
you,
I deal
because
with
I
it."
knew you all were sports people, I went and got a list. Just so,
There we go. She came prepared.
baby, I am a researcher and everything. So let's see. Here
What you
your
got for us, Tim?
all
Come
right,
on,
here are
break it
your
down.
athletes. So you got Naomi Osaka, who is tennis.
Mhm.
Michael Phelps, she has anxiety. Michael Phelps, swimming, he has
Uh-huh.
depression and anxiety. Serena Williams, tennis, she's got depression.
That's
DeMar DeRozan, NBA, he's got depression.
for
Kevin
real.
Love, NBA, anxiety and depression. Ricky Williams, NFL, depression.
Mhm.
The Rock, anxiety and depression. Paul
Oh,
Pierce, depression and anxiety. Simone
Paul Pierce.
Biles, yes, gymnastics. She has depression and anxiety. Delonte West, he has depression and bipolar. Those are just your athletes. That's just what I could find this morning. I'm sure
Right.
if I kept digging, I could have kept going. And just for just a couple of regular celebrities, Holly Berry has depression and anxiety. Prince Harry, he has had depression since his mother passed away when he was 12 years
Mhm.
old.
Mhm.
Lady Gaga, she has depression and anxiety. Adele, they did not identify which one of hers. And then Selena Gomez. So that's just what I came up with when I hopped on the internet quick first thing this morning before I went to work.
Right.
So just those are just a few, and I mean, and those are the ones that I knew who they were. Now there's a whole lot more out there, but I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know. Like there was a couple of wrestlers, and I said, I don't know nothing about wrestling, so I don't know if saying their
Mhm.
names would mean anything. But
Mhm.
so that's just these are just the ones that are most current that I know of. So I think it is huge. I remember when one of the basketball players, I think it was Kevin Love, that if I'm not mistaken, was one of the basketball players that came out with his
Mhm.
because he left a game in the middle of a game.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
remember when that happened because he had the attack on the floor, and his teammates were like, "Man, what's wrong with him?" Because he had not told anyone.
Mhm.
And then he came out afterwards, and then people, because that's when people came out with the men came out with the "You Good" slogan,
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
and I was thinking it took long enough for a black man to say it because
Mhm.
it's huge. Stigma is huge, and stigma is just you look at me badly because of something that I have, and we
Mhm.
have to
Mhm.
stop that.
Mhm.
So, so
Excuse
Oh,
Tiff,
me.
bless you.
Thank you.
talk to us about your organization. I mean, your foundation, Blind Faith.
So
Why did you
Blind
start
Faith
it? What all you
Chicago
do?
was started because so my last hospitalization, God said to me, and let me tell you, my mother, you know my mother is, and let me tell you, Jason, my
Yes,
mother is
Tiff
one
is
who does
Brown.
not mince her words, Jason. So the day before I was due to get discharged, the guy said to me in the hospital, "Do if you do what I tell you to do, you'll never go back." 11 words, real simple. And so my mother and father came to visit me, and I was due to be discharged the next day. And I said to my mother, God is talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And she said, don't you tell nobody that shit because you're supposed to come home tomorrow. She said, you in the psych unit. And if you tell somebody God is talking to you, they are not going to discharge you. And I'm
Mhm.
tired of being with your kids. So don't you tell nobody none of this. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I literally, that was my mother's conversation with me. And you can imagine my mother saying that, right, Lance?
That's why I'm laughing. That's why I'm sitting there laughing.
So I didn't say anything. I discharged the next day. So when I got home, my mother said, now what did God tell you? I said, he said, if I do what I tell him, I'll never go back. She said, well, what did he tell you? And I told him, he said, I needed to tell my story. And that's when I was giving my dad this whole thing. And so I gave them 30 days to get their life together because in 30 days, I was going to come out. So
Mhm.
30 days later, I started a blog telling my story. And every time I got comfortable in my space, God would always, those 11 words would pop up and say, I got something else for you to do.
Mhm.
So about 4 or 5 years after I got after that discharge, God said, "You're not doing enough. You thinking just because you blog about it, or you go and you talk to the police about it, or you do these little things, you're not doing enough."
Mm-hmm.
So in my sleep, Blind Faith was born because he woke me up and he
Wow.
said, "You have more to do." And I was like, "God, this is not for me. I don't know nothing about starting a nonprofit. I don't know how to go do any of these things." And he was like, "If you do what I tell you to do, you'll never go back."
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to my son and I was like, "I don't know the first thing about this," and blah, 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 blah. And he said, "Mama, remember, God does not always call the qualified, but he will qualify the called."
Mm.
And I'm looking at my phone like, "Who the hell are you?"
Mm-hmm.
I raised you. You're not supposed to be giving me that kind of advice.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked downtown. I went to the Secretary of State's office to get the paperwork on how to start a nonprofit, and bam, there it is. So we have
Wow.
been we have been organized for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is we go out and we do education to communities of color about mental health. So like I'm sitting here talking to you all, this is what I do to communities of color. We have done workshops on what mental health looks like for women, for men, and like women only, men only. We did
Mm-hmm.
a youth explosion teaching youth about what mental health looks like. So we've partnered with churches, we've partnered with other organizations. We started putting together a booklet of uh, um,
Just like different
Facts.
tips and facts.
well, not that, and therapists and doctors
Okay.
of color.
Resources. Okay.
Thank you,
Resources.
because my brain was like, "There's a word for it. There's a word
It's
for it.
okay.
There's a word for it." Yeah, resources. So if somebody calls and they're like, "I'm looking for a therapist," because when you go to your insurance, they give you this whole list, but they don't always let you streamline it to looking for a person of color. So you got to keep calling
Mhm.
around. So we
Mhm.
started trying to put together that kind of resource.
Okay.
So those are the kind of things that we do. So that's what Blind Faith does. On the other side of that is we do coaching and conversations with people to help them understand how to navigate their mental health or their family members' mental health. I have
Mhm.
worked with people who don't understand the system. I have gone to the hospitals with them when they got to take a family member to the hospital so they could understand what's getting ready to happen, the
Okay.
steps that they're getting ready to go through. Okay, you're getting ready to take your child or your family member, your husband, your daughter, your whatever to the hospital. Now let's go through this. Now we were able to go to the hospital with them before COVID, but of course COVID has changed some
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
But okay, this is what's getting ready to happen. The nurse is going to go take them back. The psychiatric caseworker is going to come downstairs. They're going to do this. Now let me see the medications that they're getting ready to do. Okay, this is how you do this. Like these are the steps so that nobody is walking their journey alone. My family and I walked that journey alone for years, and my goal is that nobody should ever have to walk that journey alone again.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Well, we're coming up on our commercial break here, Tiffany, but I wanted to ask you before you get a chance to go,
Mhm,
for coaches, because we have a lot of coaches who watch this show.
mhm.
And like Lance said, they know something probably is going on, but they're not really sure how to address it. What advice can you give to our coaches
That's
if
a
they
great question.
suspect one of their athletes is perhaps going through something and needs some mental
Make
health
your
services?
space Vegas. Make your space Vegas. It has to be a safe space. The minute you um the minute you say something that makes them think that mental health is a joke, they will never speak to you about it ever. So never have a joke about the weather is bipolar, somebody is schizophrenic. Never make a joke about mental health ever. If one of your teammates say a joke about it, check them. Language matters because the minute you make it sound funny, your player will never come to you about it. Make your space safe and make it Vegas.
And I'm glad you said that, Tiffany, because and Lance knows this in coaching, it's a lot of machismo. It's a lot of things that we coaches have said. I know I've said some things when I was a younger coach, and I'm like, oh my God, now that I'm older, what the hell was I thinking saying something?
Listen, before I didn't know either until I've learned, but language matters. And so that's the easiest way. And so I swear, when we go through this topsy-turvy weather, people are like, oh, this weather is so bipolar. I always tell people, put it like this. If you can't say the weather is diabetic, the weather is cancerous, if you can't put another medical term in that statement, then the weather is not anything that is going to be a mental health term. And so that's the bottom line. So make the space safe, and then your person will come and talk to you. And it needs to be Vegas. What's said in Vegas stays in Vegas. Never repeat it to anyone else.
Wow. That's great. That's just great advice. And I really thank you so much for coming on and talking about this important topic. And I promise you, we're going to talk about this more because it's just more prevalent in the sports world. And it's really in our community. And we're really trying to change that stigma. And I'm trying to keep my promise to Dr. Carl Bell because I know how important he was to
he was community. Huge in the African-American community here in Chicago. So I'm glad to hear that he made an impact on you, Jason, and that you're willing to take it forward. So it has been my pleasure to be here with you all today. Unfortunately, Lance knows how to get in contact, which means
no, I was going to tell you to tell our guests, like, what's your email address?
It is Tiffany. Like the jewelry store, Tiffany. Well, that's what I was named after, so it's easy to go by.
I like that.
Yeah, it's Tiffany at Blind Faith, just like it's spelled BLIND FAITH Chicago CHGO.org.
There we go.
And we're gonna have you back on in July.
We sure will. Thanks,
all right, thank you. It's been a pleasure, everybody.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're gonna take a commercial break, our last commercial break of the show, and then Lance and I are gonna come in. We're gonna finish it up. We got a couple more topics we need to get into, and we'll probably bring Irvin in for a couple of things. And we got a jump ball question. I know it's been a while. We got a jump ball question.
Let me put my record up.
All right, you're watching What's Up, Cuz. We'll be right back.
I make my living asking tough questions, so here's a question for you. If you had the power to save a life, would you? I have a chance to survive blood cancer because my big sister answered yes to being my marrow donor. Right now, you can go to bethematch.org and offer a cure to someone with a disease like leukemia. So, what will your answer be?
At a time when the news seems as subjective as the partisan politics dividing this country, independent professional journalism has become a resource people need to get the honest and accurate information for their lives. That's why I created JCoyneReports.com. As a born and raised Chicagoan, I know this city better than anyone. So my investigative stories are all original, and they'll go deeper to expose the truth by using information obtained from public information databases and in-depth interviews with the movers and shakers. My feature stories will introduce you to people and businesses who are changing the world, not just Chicago. My missing person stories will spotlight those who you don't hear about in the mainstream media who are often overlooked. If you want to hear my personal views on things around the world, check out my blog site, which is based off of factual information and my life experiences. There's also past episodes of my weekly sports podcast show, What's Up, Cuz, that I host with my real-life cousin, Lance Irvin. So if you're looking for all this information and more, check out JCoyneReports.com and follow me on Twitter at JCoyne.
Hey Jay, I gotta ask you a question too. Go ahead. Go ahead. So, why did you, when you did the commercial? I like the look. I think I know why. Why did you wear a button down versus a sport coat?
I think fashion trends have really changed in terms of what is considered a business look nowadays. I think we're kind of getting away from the whole shirt and tie with a sport jacket to be considered business. I credit
Mm-hmm.
this to like the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, the technology people. They don't dress up like that. The technology people go to work in jeans and a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
and some of these people are millionaires and billionaires. So I think, a more relaxed look. And especially as reporters, reporters back in the day, you get the stereotypical, they're in the trench coat with the hat and smoking cigars, and they're all in the shirt and tie. But it's really not like that now. The TV people still kind of dress up, but for those of us who are doing online or print media, or even some of the radio people, it's just a more relaxed look. And that was what I kind of decided to go with. I went with the button down shirt
I
and I
thought the
threw a
look was
jacket
great.
on. So
I
I
thought it was
appreciate
great.
that.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought it fit in from what you were doing and what you were saying. I thought it was great. That's the kind
Yeah.
of look I would have had. Like I like that look.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we'll tell people now that you and I are shooting one for What's Up Cuz in the coming weeks, because we got to do one to promote our show as well.
Yeah.
And so you all may see us around Chicago in the next 2 or 3 weeks somewhere. We're doing some location scouting now, and God knows what my cousin is going to wear.
And you know what I'm gonna do? See you, Ivan. Matter of fact, bring Ivan out here. Bring Ivan out. Ivan? I want you to come on. See, cause you two guys was talking about how come coaches don't wear suits anymore. And I see y'all thought I forgot. So if they see me around town, I'm wearing a suit. I'm going old school. I'm putting my sport coat on. No, I'm not. I'm wearing sweats like they do on the sideline. That look is
I
not
would say,
going
no, you
away,
ain't.
Ivan. That look is not going away. You know it and Jason know it. Y'all tried to fry me. Matter of fact, y'all thought y'all killed me on the jump ball question. I don't forget nothing.
Oh, God. Well,
Oh,
it
my
is time
bad.
for
I'm
jump
starting to get
ball.
fired up.
It's time for jump ball. I'll turn it over to Ivan now.
I'm starting to get fired up.
All right. So, well, honestly, I thought the commercial was really good, Jason. I thought you should have mentioned Lance a little bit more, but since he wanted to take shots, it's perfect just the way it is, Jason. Anyway, tonight's jump ball question: which league had the better first round playoffs this year, the NHL or the NBA? Which one of you guys want to go first? I honestly, to me, and I'll put my 2 cents out there. I think they're both terrific. I mean, a lot of game sevens. Like, what can you ask for? But I'll let you guys go. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. You know why I'm gonna go first, Ivan? Because everybody in America understands basketball, NBA basketball, had the better first round, second round thus far. We had new stars being birthed. You had guys like had points to prove. You had like Jason Tatum. He had a point to prove. He's been phenomenal. You had Luka. Luka is coming to his own. Nobody can guard Luka. Luka is unstoppable. You had guys like the Joker doing the things that they've been doing. So you had a good mixture of youth, but you also had the veterans like Chris Paul, even though he panned off as a late, he played well. Giannis, the veteran, he played well. And we had some good game seven. Like that Boston game yesterday was great. So I think the game seven, the future stars and the young guns had the league in a great place. So, of course, basketball. And you had the celebrities. Thank God I missed the celebrity part. That's all right, though. You ain't seeing celebrities at hockey games. I got to be in.
All right, Jason.
Well, of course, Lance Irvin is going to pick basketball because he didn't even watch the hockey playoffs. How the hell is he going to say which one was better when he didn't even watch 1 minute of hockey playoffs? Look, everyone knows the NHL has got the best playoffs out of anybody. Even a casual hockey fan knows that, because in hockey, if you're the number 1 seed, you can still lose to the number 8 seed. It happens all the time. In basketball, it pretty much goes by the way the seeds are. The talent usually takes care of itself. But in hockey, it's not like that. And proof of the matter is they just concluded the first round, and 5 of the 8 series in the first round went to a game 7. I mean, that's exciting. That's what you want in playoffs. You want a lot of high action, a lot of drama, and hockey provides that. You got upsets that take place all the time in the hockey playoffs. It's similar to the NCAA men's basketball bracket. So the hockey playoffs were obviously better. They're always better. And then I actually watched both sports, unlike my cousin.
everybody know the Flames, and everybody know the Flames are gonna win.
Oh, you just
I get
looked
that.
that up
I get that.
online. Stop
I don't.
lying.
I
He
don't
did.
need
He
to do
did.
that.
He
I
did.
don't
He
need
did.
to
He
do
said,
that.
"All right, let me get the best team or the team with
Everybody,
the best record, and then I'm gonna go ahead and choose that team." You're a
I don't
Yankee
even
fan
know
too,
who the
Lance. Are you a
Flames.
Yankee fan too, Lance? Are you a Yankee fan too, Lance?
you know what? Everybody's a Yankee fan when you
No,
got
they're not.
when you got Stan. Please, hey Jay, I got a side piece team.
Oh Lord.
Side piece team. I got a side piece team. Reggie Jackson, the Yankees. Mariano, here comes the Sandman. Everybody likes the Yankees because you don't
Now you
like the
sound like
Yankees.
now you sound like my boy Charles. He a damn
Everybody likes
Yankees
the
fan.
Yankees. Everybody likes the Yankees. I'm a
Everybody
Sox fan,
don't
but everybody
like
like
the
the Yankees. Jay,
Everybody don't like the Yankees.
what
But
they
anyway,
did to our Sox, but I
yes.
won. I won the battle.
You
I
didn't win
won
the
the battle.
battle. You
But
did
Jay,
not
let
win
me
the battle.
ask you this: how many stars do we see at the hockey games? You see Roy
Snoop.
Jones,
Snoop.
Snoop doing hockey now.
Snoop is a huge hockey fan.
Snoop,
Snoop
you
is
talking
on
about
the
Snoop
damn
Dogg?
Charles
Show me
Barkley.
receipts. Show me
Charles Barkley.
receipts. I need to see
Show you
receipts.
receipt. Snoop is
Y'all
on
could
the
be
Snoop
making
is
this
on,
stuff up.
No,
Snoop,
Snoop
Snoop,
is on the video game, Lance.
Snoop D-O double G.
Snoop loves hockey. Like, remember when
Is
he
that
was
right?
always wearing the LA Kings jersey?
Oh
He
yeah,
wasn't just wearing that for fact. He actually
You right.
loves hockey. And
You right.
he does like some of the play-by-play sometimes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Snoop
I remember
loves
the
hockey.
LA Kings jersey. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what, Jay? It's similar to basketball. I remember when you took me
Sure.
to a game and you was explaining to me. Now I
Mhm.
need to watch more. But if it was those mini game fives like you said there, that means guys playing at a high level and they
Yeah.
not going. So that's real
Right.
good competition. Because I think as fans, Jay, we don't like to see blowouts. Do you
No.
really like seeing a blowout?
No.
Like
No.
yesterday, that fiasco.
Yeah, in
The
Phoenix,
Sphinx,
yeah, that was
that ain't you want to see
that ain't where
game
it's at.
7. That's not where it's game at.
Right.
So if hockey's playing at that type of level, Jay, shout out to hockey. Like I
Well,
said,
you know what? I also think too, just that the optics are different for hockey, as because basketball you can sit courtside and literally everybody gonna see you because you're sitting courtside. Whereas
exactly.
with hockey, you ain't sitting courtside. You can be sitting next to
No.
the glass, but even though you're sitting next to the glass, you got the glass in, so it's just a different optical look. But there are a lot of celebrities who are into both sports, and I really don't think neither one of us lost this week, to be honest, because I think the games have been phenomenal in the NBA.
So Jay, let me ask you this: who's like they saying Giannis? They talk
Sure.
about Luca. What's the hockey stars like? Who is the star that's still playing that everybody wants to
Connor
win?
McDavid
Connor
is
still?
a beast.
Gotcha.
And the problem is he plays in Edmonton. So, it's like Edmonton. Well, who the hell are they? I think the problem with a lot of the hockey stars is that they're foreigners.
That's
Whereas in basketball, they're mostly American. What's up, man? I think that's the big difference. So that the hockey players, their stars aren't as well known because they may have come from Slovakia or Russia or somewhere. But I think both the NHL and the NBA gave some great games so far in these playoffs, man. The thing I love about hockey is that it's sudden death overtime. So there's no time limit. It's whoever scores next, and that could be hours.
Nah, Jay, I like that. One shot, that's it. So now guys really focus, guys really concentrate.
Right.
You got to pay attention to details too, because one mistake, that's it.
You don't want more. You don't want more floor time for the tracksuit.
I just think, Jay, like, I'm glad games being played at a high level and guys stepping up in hockey and in basketball. Because, you can see the changing of the guard, at least in basketball. I can see it. Like, they're beating up Chris Paul like we talked about early. But, I mean, he only has a couple more years left, Jay. It's good you got somebody like Luka who's like, hey, even Devin Booker, he played bad, but that's somebody you could look forward to seeing. Because LeBron and Chris Paul, they basically on their last
LeBron
leg.
ain't even in the playoffs this year.
Exactly. He's not in the playoffs. They like 37, 36, 37. I mean, come on now. We're fortunate that they still playing at this point in time. It can basically carry their own. But it's time for the young guns. Like, really, Jay? It should be Anthony Davis that we're talking about.
Well,
I think
we've had that conversation.
I know I'm not even going. I'm gonna leave that alone. You see, I'm gonna get quiet on that one.
Yeah, we'll leave that conversation alone for now. But let's stay on the NBA though, because now we're now in the conference finals. We've got Miami and Boston. We've got Golden State and Dallas. Let's talk a little bit more about the Eastern Conference final. Miami and Boston. So these were the top two seeds,
My
which
fault.
kind of goes by what I was saying. It's usually the top two.
And the thing about it, I forgot to mention Ja. Ja put on the show. If Ja wouldn't
Yes,
have got
he did.
hurt, Jay, Golden State might have would have made an exit because they was
True.
right there. And I like Josh Swag when he said, "Yeah, we're gonna have some fun." Like he talking to Steph, like, "Yeah, we're gonna have some fun." But to get back to your question, well, Boston and Miami, those are two good defensive teams. Like
Mhm.
those guys, there's nothing easy, and they both physical. You have Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is physical. Bam is physical for Miami. So you have
Mhm.
two good defensive teams. You have Jimmy Butler that guard. You have guys that's gonna play at a high level, and they two really good well coached teams. What coach is doing with Boston, that's phenomenal as a rookie coach. What Ime is doing, he's doing a great coaching job. So he showed us he's coaching at a high level. So with that being said, it's going to be an interesting game. And on the offensive end, they both have shot makers.
Yeah,
Guys are making shots.
yeah. I'm
Tyler
gonna go
Hero,
with Miami.
shots.
I'm gonna go with Miami. I think
You
they're
going with
gonna. I think
Miami?
they're gonna. I think they're gonna pull it out. But I think this is gonna be a war. I think this thing going 7. I think it's going 7. I know Boston is the more talented team and probably favored, but I just think Jimmy is really wanting one now. I think he's tired of people seeing him as kind of like a naysayer and a complainer and as a team cancer because everywhere he's went, he's been kind of outspoken. And I think he really wants to prove that he can take someone to the finals and win it, because that's been the biggest criticism of Jimmy. That okay, Jimmy, well, you ain't never led nobody to nothing.
You know what? I think it's gonna come down to Miami, Jay. How consistent is Bam Adebayo going to be in the paint? How consistent can he be dominant? If he provides a physical presence underneath, like he's been doing most of the year, if he can do that against Horford, if he can do that when William lays a body on him, they have a chance. And Tyler Hero cannot have a bad game. Like he's the 6th man of the year. He has to have a bad game. But conversely, on the other end, Jaylen Brown has to be Jaylen Brown too. Like they can't put all the pressure on Tatum to provide an offensive punch. In the game the other day, Williams stepped up in a big way. So now Williams made about 7-8 threes. So he had like 26. Brown gets his 20. Tatum gets his 40. Al Horford chip in 10. It's too many guys. So with that being said, though, and I hate using the word others, but everybody said others. I'm not going to use others. What guys that we don't think is going to provide a big punch going to provide a big punch? Because, Jimmy going to be Jimmy. Nobody going to stop Jimmy from getting his 20. And the one thing I found interesting about Jimmy Butler that I was laughing at, which I had mentioned on the show early, when he was walking to the locker room, did you hear what he said? Tobias Harris over me? Tobias Harris over me? I mean, come on now, Jay.
But that's what I'm
Come on,
saying.
Jay.
He got that chip on his shoulder. That's why I think, he's playing for something. I think he got something to prove. But, Boston win, I ain't going to be mad because, then that means I get to see more of my girl, Nia Long.
Who is that?
That's Nia Long, man.
That was like, we ain't seen Nia in a while. I told Paul, I said, Nia married the coach. She
That's
was like,
right.
huh? I said, yeah. You got good eyesight too, cuz. See, us coaches got good eyesight. I wasn't always wearing glasses. These glasses help me see Paul a little bit better though. But coach got real good sight now. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Now, before we get out of here, we got to talk a little bit about our White Sox. Not a good weekend for our White Sox.
Jay, let me ask you this:
they were going against the Yankees, though.
You the baseball guy. I'm semi-baseball guy. But Jay, who are you gonna beat giving up 15 runs, giving up 12 runs, 10 runs? who are you going to beat? And the Yankees, I think the Yankees were a good test because the Yankees pitching staff, to me, I think they have a good pitching staff. Who are you going to beat giving up runs like we giving up?
Well, nobody. And that's the problem. That's the problem with the White Sox. But I've been saying that. Just
You
their
have.
defense isn't strong enough. Their pitching, defense starts with pitching in baseball. It's not there yet. It's not, and I know they're saying, well, we're going to get Lance Lynn back. Okay, I get it. But we all had concerns. Now, I do think Kopech has pitched his butt off. He had a rough inning yesterday. I think Dylan Cease has drastically improved, but Dylan, okay, he did beat the Angels. I have to give him credit for that. The Angels lineup ain't no joke either. But he went up against the Yankees. The Yankees pounded him. But the Yankees are gonna do that to a lot of people this year. I think they have good pitching. I just don't know if they have good enough pitching. And when I say that, good enough to win in the playoffs. I think they're good enough to win this regular season. I think they'll probably win the division again, especially once they get everyone back healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But they still got some fundamental issues on defense that I've got concerns about. I'm sorry. If without them making some changes during the trade deadline, I don't know how far they're going to advance in the playoff, Lance. When they play against the elite teams, against the Astros, the Angels, the Yankees.
Let me ask you this. Last time we were on the show, we had a conversation about Tony's managing. His management. Has his managing skills gotten better? Because he used to be, I don't know if you agree to me, but back in the day, he was probably, I was about to say, from a technical standpoint, his managing style, Jay, he was good, I thought.
Sure.
Lately, I ain't been sensing that from you and some of the other people I talk to. Y'all are like, on the chat. Y'all don't come out say it, but I'm not going to criticize coaches. You see, I'm asking you.
Right. So here's my thing. And I think Sean made a great point this morning on Sean.
I didn't even see that, see?
We learned 2 years ago from Bob Nightingale, the reporter for USA Today. Bob Nightingale came on the show and told us that managers in Major League Baseball, many of them are not even making their own lineups anymore. The lineups are being made. The lineups are being made by the general manager, and the general manager is passing it down. That the managers, they make the decisions on the field, but many of the starting lineups. I know that was my reaction. Many of the starting lineups are being put in by the general managers. Now, I have yet to hear a general manager or anyone in baseball confirm what Bob said. However, Bob Nightingale is a very, very respected reporter. He's a friend of Sports on Chicago. He was the only one who said the White Sox were going to hire Tony La Russa when they hired him 2 years ago. When Bob said, I was like, they're not bringing back Tony La Russa. He's like, they're bringing back Tony La Russa. And he said it on Sean and Maya's show. We had that exclusive. I mean, I even will tell you, he exclusively said it on Sean's show. And we were all like, Bob, drinking or something. Next thing I knew, it came Tony La Russa. So I'm like, okay, this man knows what he's talking about. General managers have more of a role in the on-the-field lineups than we realize. And that could be a problem. I just think that some of the decisions Tony is making, though, past putting the lineup on the field in terms of some of the stuff he's doing, it just gives me some concerns.
Yeah, because Jay, as a head coach, being an assistant period, some of those decisions you make, you only got a couple of seconds to make those decisions.
True.
And like I said, listening to you, watching you, I'm not saying, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but has it gone past him? Is he past? Is it? I'm not saying fire him. I'm not saying fire him.
I don't think the game is past him. I just think he has struggled relating to his team to get them to play to their full capabilities. And I think you understand that because today's athletes are definitely different than they were when he had his success. And the way you talk to them is a big deal. It's why I will never go back into coaching. I couldn't coach this generation. They'd be pissed off at me after the first quarter. So I know not to even put myself in that situation with them. So I'm not going to even go there. I think Tony is trying to I think he's not really being himself, and he's trying to do some things to.
Can't coach like that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And so, okay, then don't be in the dugout. That was my whole point.
Because Jay, you can't coach like that.
What is? I mean, I agree with you, Lance. Like the micromanaging. I mean, even though Tony La Russa is old school, and you question whether any type of knowledge of analytics, but when you're that type of dude, when you're a Tony La Russa, Ozzie Guillen, ain't nobody telling, like you said, Sean said it before, like you had said, Jason, it ain't gonna happen, bro. It ain't gonna happen. If somebody if Ozzie wants to make a move because somebody's struggling, Ozzie's gonna make Ozzie's gonna make the move, y'all. Sorry about that. Ozzie's gonna make the move. These are older gentlemen who aren't going to allow somebody else to control their ball club when they're with those guys in the dugout, in the clubhouse, day in and day out.
That's why, Jay, something to be said for a guy like Nick Saban. What he's doing in college. He had to find a happy medium. Exactly where you meet them halfway. Pat Riley. I mean, he's still over there helping Spoelstra. We could believe what we want to believe, but he's helping them. You and I both know that. So it's something to be said. Pop still meeting them no matter what type of spin. I'm not even going to use spin, but one thing it seems like to me, all those guys doing, they do a good job meeting the players where they are and building a relationship with them. Because a lot of stuff is relationship driven. And these days, you have to spend a lot of time with these guys, not only them, but sometimes you might have to spend a little bit of time with their family members trying to find out what makes them tick. And at the end of the day, it's a couple non-negotiables that you have to live by. If they don't do this, man, you sit. It is what it is. But you just got me with the general manager stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty deep. Well, hey, we're out of time for this week's show. Everyone, get ready to join us next week for another episode of What's Up, Cuz. Next week's will not be a live show. It will be a recorded show. I've got some responsibilities I need to take care of. But we will have a new show for you. It will be a recorded show. Then the week after that, Lance and I will be off because it will be Memorial Day and we will be off for that holiday. But next week, tune in. We're going to have a pre-recorded show. Follow us online on Twitter. We'll give you updates on who our guests will be. Thank you, GL. We hope everyone enjoyed today's show. We dedicated it to mental health awareness. For my cousin, Lancey Irvin, and our producer, Ivan Vargas, I am Jason Palmer. Peace out.
Great job, cuz. You made it through the show. I'm proud of you.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise. High as the listening skies, let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. We will march on to victory. We will march on to victory. Let us march on.